So I just got finished watching Apex, starring Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton, and I find this movie to kind of just be pointless. So Charlize Theron plays as Sasha, and she is out in the Australian wilderness. There to movie doesn't really actually explain why, but in the sense she's there kind of to like pay her respects, also to go and seek, I believe, closure based upon what happens at the beginning of the movie. And there she runs into Taron Egerton's character, Ben, who at first seems very helpful, somewhat knowledgeable. But as time goes on, you kind of get the understanding like there's something off with this character, which makes sense because as the trailer shows, eventually Sasha finds herself being hunted by Ben throughout the Australian, outback. And so I feel like this movie was primarily made for spectacle, right? The plot is very simple. The acting is really, really good. But I feel like the pitch of this movie was we're going to be in the Australian outback, the jungle, the rivers, like all this stuff. And we're just going to put our characters in these crazy like scenarios. And I feel like that's what it was, why this movie was primarily made. It was just for that. It's for the spectacle. It's for, it's eye candy in that sense. The plot is a regular basic plot as far as, he's going out there to kill her and she has to survive. This isn't anything new. This has been done, before in other movies and books. So this isn't a new concept whatsoever. But again, I think it was primarily made because they just wanted to showcase these big, cool action pieces, right? And, have these A-list stars star in it. And so because of that, I can't really say that this movie is, that good. From an action point, maybe it's elevated, but, I would expect more if I'm being honest. From a plot point of view, again, there really isn't no like heart to the story. I think the whole point of it was just to get to the action and, showcase, all the stuff that they wanted to showcase as far as like the nature, the rivers, the caverns, like all this stuff. And so plot wise, I don't really feel like it's that well done. I will say this though. There is an actor that does appear in this movie, who, as from what I know, wasn't in any of the promotion, wasn't in the trailer, and is definitely, I would say, a top tier actor. To the point that when I saw this individual in the movie, and like realizing, oh, I didn't know you were in this. You weren't in the trailer. You weren't in any of the promotions that I saw. I pretty much, when you watch movies as much as I do, you get to the point where you're just like, oh, this person's gonna die. And so, I won't spoil it, but maybe I kind of did. But yeah, it was so jarring to see them that I was like, oh, there's something definitely is going to happen to this character, because you just don't leave this person out of all of your promos, of your trailers. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you're in this movie? Like, why? Well, the answer is we know why. And if you watch this movie, you'll figure out why. But it was good to see that person. Hopefully we see more of that, because I actually like that actor. So I hope to see more of them in future projects. But again, this movie wasn't the worst thing ever. No, but it also wasn't the best thing ever. I think this would have been a good opportunity to do something different within this very common told story. All right, just do something unique, like with it. I think it was a missed opportunity for that. But the movie ends up wrapping up, nicely, right? But again, I just don't feel like there's really like a point to it. And I think the problem for me comes from our main character, where you could make the case and argue that Sasha, right, Charlize Theron, her character is different in the end than where she starts, but not really. Not really. And if you watch it, you'll know what I mean. Um, there is an obstacle for her to overcome, and she, in the sense, overcomes it. But she still seems like her melancholy, almost borderline depressed self, like she was at the beginning of the movie. You get it even with the last shot of the movie, where it's just like, you still seem like you haven't come to peace. You haven't come in terms with, everything. And maybe that's just the acting. At least that's what I got from the acting. But she just seems like the same character, who just went through a crazy experience, but nonetheless still the person that we kind of like started out with, as far as like when she got to Australia. And so that to me is a huge thing. I think your characters should change. I think there should be a very obvious like shift in them. And to me, that just wasn't present. And then also that, again, I think this would have been a good opportunity to do something just different with this story that's already been done. And that opportunity wasn't taken. And so because of that, I'll give this movie a 6 out of 10. Do I think it's worth watching? Honestly, no. If you do watch it, like, you might enjoy it. You may not. Again, I don't think it's the worst thing, but I also don't think it's the best thing, and I wouldn't say it's a good. I wouldn't say it's worth your time to watch it. But that's just me. That's my opinion. If you have watched it, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If you're gonna go watch it, come back here and let me know what you thought about it. But that's my opinion. 6 out of 10. Was hoping for something a little more. But again, my opinion. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Peace.